Nobody Named Kevin podcast, episode 7. Still bear in mind we have one hidden episode to release one day. But episode 7, anybody in the room named Kevin?
No, and I will not confirm
Absolutely
or deny
not.
whether we have an actual secret episode.
We do. Once we get the GoFundMe high enough
I
for the
will not
Kickstarter.
confirm that.
I'll confirm it for everyone. I'm telling you right now.
It's definitely real.
Nope, we're definitely under
This is-
NDAs, boys.
I don't recall signing one.
That's exactly what I would say.
So we're all able to watch Little Nas X slide down his pole from heaven to hell and give Satan his lap dance, as he had been waiting for.
I did not watch it.
I did.
I know
I did.
enough about it, like, because of how big it was, that I was like, I'm not going to watch the video, and I'm going to have my opinion on it, just like everyone else. Y'all two have watched it, so I was like, okay, I'll be good.
No, you should watch it though.
Nope.
You have to see the level, like the craziness that it goes to.
My thing is it just does not bother me at all. I could not care less about what someone's decisions are, regardless of whether it offends people or not. I just simply don't care. Like, it's the sake of, like, if you're doing something like that in media, you're doing it on purpose to be provocative. He's doing it for a point, so it's like, if you get upset by it, you're feeding into what he wants. So I don't care. I'm like, I don't care to watch it. It's not my style. But hey, I spark nosed it through research without watching it.
But that's the thing. It's like a 3-minute video. Like, the research is just watching it.
Nope.
It's like 3 minutes.
I looked at everyone
take
else's.
longer to read about
it. Yeah.
I looked at everyone else's
And
opinion
watch-
of it and formed my opinion. Okay.
And watch 5 different reactions to it. It's like, you could have rewatched it 10 times now.
Nope.
But no, man, it's not that it makes me mad or anything. No, you have to see it to witness, like, this is so intense and it's so, like, far the other direction. And yeah, of course, it's like, it's for shock value. It's like, I'm going to stir up people and this is going to gain a lot of traction. Yeah, of course. That's what makes it funny is people are getting, like, they're freaking out about it as expected. What confuses me is that people who are freaking out about people freaking out. That's what bothers me. I'm like, why are we surprised at all? Why is anyone surprised that someone would take that any wrong way?
I don't know.
Shouldn't be surprised.
I kind of see it like the super straight thing. Like, it is a troll to be a troll, but he has a legitimate point behind it.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I think
Like,
he
it's
did have a
kind
real
of the
point
same
behind
thing.
it, too.
Like, he had his actual point to it, and he doubled down on his position. And for me, honestly, like, I don't care, because it's like, okay, yeah, he gave Satan a lap dance, but doesn't he at the end of the video kill the devil?
Yeah.
No, exactly.
Okay,
like,
so
he did
like,
the right thing.
what are we
He did the right
offended
thing.
by? Yeah, that's what I don't get. People
Dude,
never cease to blow
Now,
my
keep in mind, because he kills the devil. He does the right thing. He kills the devil, taking his horns off and now crowning himself as Satan. So it's kind of like a gotcha.
I mean, I think the whole idea behind it, and also I think he said something about the fact that, like, this is how people made me feel, and, like, what people of that stance make people like us feel like.
Everyone says you're going to hell because you're gay, so I'm just gonna embrace it.
Yeah, like, I feel like that was, which I'm completely okay with. Like, I don't agree with people's opinions on stuff like that, and you have no right to judge others. Like, if you're offended by it, that's kind of your own business.
I think you have complete right to judge. I think you should just be aware that you will be judged back, and you have to be open to that if you're going to judge.
I guess I can agree to that. I don't know. It just, honestly, it did not upset me at all. I couldn't care less. Like, at the end of the day, like, what effect does this actually have in your real life? Like, that's what I don't understand.
So I think, like, as a child, I idolized the movie Hellboy, and that was about a main character is like a demon, or is like hinted at being like the devil's child or whatever. And I was like, he's like a hero. You know, I'm
Okay.
like 10 years old, and everyone's like, I don't know, like I know that's different, but
Like
still, like
here's my thing though.
why do they care if that? I don't
Like if
understand.
your argument is, oh, I don't want my kids to see that. Okay, well then don't let him watch it. Like that's not his
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
responsibility. Like it's like all the like phrases you get in like movies and stuff like that. I remember it's in Married with Children too, of like, well, stop letting other things parent your child. You're supposed to be parenting your kid.
Mhm.
So it's like, I mean, I'm
No,
not
I'm
offended. I don't care, and if he wants to make that, he's well within his right to make that. And if people are upset, cool, you can be upset. I still do not agree with your opinion of being upset.
yeah, and I think it is funny, and I agree. Like that's one angle people take is like, well, 90% of his fan base is kids. It's like, well, yeah, but he's not their parent either, you know. And it's like everything out there is bad. Everything out there they have access to, you know. It's like
Well, then the other argument
that's never going
comes
to
in.
change. You know, you can't put the responsibility on artists at all because they're just going to keep doing stuff like that to get you mad.
Because it gets more people to look.
Yeah, unless they're like directly marketing this to your children, like through like Nickelodeon or something, I don't think there's a reason to get upset. You know?
What is it? People were
Yeah.
upset about the shoes too.
Yeah. Oh, I saw that Nike is supposedly suing them because people are
It's
saying
not
they would
real.
boycott Nike.
It's not real.
Oh, it's not
That's the
real?
thing. So no. Everything you're saying is real,
Those-
but the sneakers
Oh,
are
okay. I was
fake.
like, what?
Like that was completely fake. And
Oh,
that
the
is,
shoes?
yeah, they were never gonna make those shoes.
No,
They
they
were
made them
not-
and they sold them out.
Yeah.
No, they
Yeah, I
didn't.
thought they sold
No.
out day one. That's
No.
what I saw.
They did.
No, that is why Nike is suing them. Nike
Because
never.
they sold them.
No, Nike
Because
did.
they bought their shoes.
Yeah.
No, not Nike, but Lil
Yeah,
Nas did, and then had someone else do that, and then
Yeah,
he
Nike's
marketed
suing
it.
them
And
for brand defamation. Which
okay,
I'm
yeah.
all
So the
for.
shoes are real, is what I'm saying.
That's what we're saying. No, yeah, Nike didn't do it, but he did buy those and
He
collaborate.
did. He did. Yeah.
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 But either way,
They're
like
selling for like $2,000.
their counterpoint
That's
to
crazy.
it is, there were like angel shoes that someone did a while back. It had holy water in them and stuff like that. And their argument is like, okay, well that's not fair.
I did hear about that. Did
No.
hear about that.
I don't know, dude. It's literally just, if you're dumb enough to boycott a company because of their stance on a position, like that's your own business. Like at the end of the day, they make shoes. They don't tell me how to live my life.
Yeah.
Like I don't think me
That's
buying
very
Nikes
true.
is gonna damn my soul.
Yeah. But dude, it makes me think like, and I hope you don't mind if I share this, Clayton, but like when we were in class, I remember in home ec, and I think it was either home ec or Spanish,
It was-
and you got to write. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Keep
And you got to
going.
write about like your home life and your religion, and you picked a certain religion that you knew would spark controversy in class.
I'm trying to think. I don't remember what religion that is, but that would have been home ec for sure. Because that teacher,
Okay,
I was there
I don't
to
remember
make
what it
her
was
life
like.
hell.
Yeah, it was like you read a whole paragraph or story or something about how you went to the Church of Satan or something like that, and like when she called you out on it, you're like, how can you know? Like you're like, that is my religion. Like you had a really good, like you were always a clown, but then when that came to that, you had like these legit points, and you got serious. You're like, that's my belief. And she's like, no, you're just messing around. And he's like, no, how can you prove that? Like you can't tell me what I can and can't believe.
Oh yeah, no, that would have definitely been her. Cause Spanish class,
Yeah, I can't say, but yeah.
Cause Spanish class, that teacher actually liked me. She just didn't like me in class. She was like, "You're a cool person and everything, but in
feel like
class
you
you
wrote
make it so
some-
hard to teach." But
feel
I
like
do
you
know
wrote
what you're
some
talking
trolly
about.
satanic stuff in
I
that
can't
class
remember
as well.
if it
I think
was-
one happened in both.
I can't remember if it was satanic, but I know I did do stuff
Or
like that.
demonic. Like it was definitely
Because my hope was to point out the hypocrisy of it. Of like, because
Yeah.
every day she taught about her religion. Like, I don't care. That's not what I'm at school for. Like, I'm in public education. Like, you're not supposed to be teaching me these things. Like, you're not supposed to be trying to warp my mind that direction.
Yeah.
Like, that was
You're-
always,
I mean,
that was my argument.
yeah, and that was how many years ago? Like a long time ago,
Mm-hmm.
like 10 years ago or something.
Part of that was just like I knew I could bait the reaction out of her. It's so easy to bait the reaction out of it, like certain people, and I knew that I could. And my favorite part is that teacher was no longer at that school the next year.
Yeah, you're
'Cause
right. Okay, so that was because that was like our junior year, so that was like 8 years ago.
Yeah, because I remember she
under
tried
a
to.
decade.
I remember when we first got there, and she was like, "You will not be using the bathroom every morning," and I was like, "Oh, bet."
Oh yeah,
I use that bathroom
was
every
ridiculous.
morning. I did not care. I got
That
on
was
a
a very dumb
specific.
argument.
I got on a specific schedule to where like it was happening, regardless of whether she wanted to let me go or not. Dude, I was a terrible kid to some teachers, but I still believe some
Sure.
of them deserved it.
Yeah, but tying back to the little Nos thing, it was like at a young age pointing out the same hypocrisy that's happening now, like with the like people complaining about it. They have a right to complain, but then people being surprised that people complain about it. It's like
I'm never
it's
surprised.
been going on for.
Do you think kids would like, because that happened everywhere. A teacher wants to lay down the law, and there's some kid that doesn't like that teacher and is like, "You're not laying down the law with me." I think that would change if we finally armed the teachers.
Well, we do in some places, I think, right? Isn't that a thing in Texas? I thought teachers were allowed to carry handguns in certain places.
No, like we supplied them. Like they get
No.
their badge, they get their lunch pass. Here's your gun.
No,
Keep it in your desk.
It's the same thing of like, okay, cool. Let this teacher do that. It will be the day their life is over. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think you're understanding the mindset of a high school kid. It's now gonna become a challenge to who can get that checked off first. Like, who can be the first student to get it? Not even shot, like, because my logic is like, dude, I'm gonna get them to pull it. Just like high school me would have been.
Get the wave.
Yeah, let's brandish that firearm, baby. Let's do it. Like, no, I still would have pushed buttons on the teachers that I didn't like.
We got the coach to brandish in the hallway.
Yeah. It's like, dude, because, like, my thing is, like, certain teachers, I was like, you don't need to be here. You have no business being a teacher. And I'm going to make sure that you know that. That would have been, like, the green light of this is the easy route to get them out.
Dude, but here's the thing. There would not be a rule against the brandishing. So someone would have to draw the rule out. And then the coach, I guarantee, like the coaches and maybe some of the history teachers, or maybe more the math teachers. I don't know.
There's like
but
history
one
teachers
section of
are
teachers,
coaches.
yeah, they're kind of one and the same. But definitely the coaches would be like brandishing it often. You're not gonna do anything. Like
let's
wave
be
it
honest,
around in the
though.
hallway.
You arm any of the teachers, and students are made aware of what teachers are armed on the school premises. Dude, think of all the hoodlums we had in school who would legit try to steal the firearm.
Yeah,
that would be actually more scary than the,
yes. So it's like, don't do that. Right sentiment. You got the right idea, but just wrong.
Most of those teachers were not in the physical shape to fight off most of those kids either. Like,
well, not to mention all it takes is the class turning, right? It only takes like 2 or 3 students.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, it's just mob mentality. Like, yeah, I'll take it from the teacher and pop one off.
Yeah, dude.
Right. And then they're storming the principal's office, and there's an insurrection. And one of the kids has horns on.
Oh, dude, that's immediately what I was thinking. Is like, just look at Capitol Hill. What happened there? Like, mob mentality. You don't have to be armed to take over.
So the kids could rise up now. They just need to pull it together.
I mean, they could, but like at the end of the day, like, to be honest, man, I don't think police departments would be scared. Because, like, let's be honest, if it's gonna happen, it's gonna happen in a high school. Oh, those cops are like, so what you're saying is we can throw flashbangs? All right. Like, they're gonna pull out the heavy stuff to do it. They're gonna pull out like the juvie level, like non-lethal weapons to get to work.
I want to see how crazy that could get. There's the weird anime kids that had a pair of nunchucks on them, and then one has like a bleach sword that he's like running at them with.
Dude, that would be such a hard situation to deal with because so many I feel like there would be a group of parents that would be like, you can't do this to the children. And then there's, like, so like,
I feel like more
you know
what
what I
would
mean?
end up
Like,
happening.
What do you mean? We're gonna arm everyone. What do you mean you can't?
In actuality, though, when it comes to like high school students, they're not gonna understand police tactics. Like, I honestly feel like the cops could easily handle that with just riot cops.
I don't know, man. You made a quick juke
Everybody's
one
getting
time.
Yeah, but the difference
He's doing
is
the
like,
wall run.
with riot cops and stuff like that, 90% of their job is just pushing you in the direction they want you to go. They're not there to actually detain you. They're mainly there to push you in a certain direction to help contain it. So, like, it would be like, okay, cool. We've locked them down in the gym. You know what I mean? Like, it would be something simple like that. They just work funnels.
Kids like you are doing the wall runs and jumping over the defensive line and going for the goal.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest with you. If riot cops ever got deployed to a school, I'm not messing with riot cops, bro.
No,
like, oh yeah, I jumped the barrier. Okay, cool. There's still cops outside. Like, I'm not going anywhere. So it's like it wouldn't equate to anything. I wouldn't accomplish anything worth accomplishing.
But you'd have a great story. Am I right?
I would not, because they would probably make sure that I never came back to school, so it wouldn't be a good story, because I'd have no one to tell it to.
All the kids at juvie.
Oh,
The
yeah.
alternative school.
Okay.
Yeah,
Giving the kids
bro.
at alternative school. Yeah, there you go. All you can wear is white t-shirts and blue jeans.
I'd be in juvie talking about how we started a riot at our school. Yeah. Because I care what the kids in juvie think, dude.
You would, because you would be in a different environment and you'd have to gain the hierarchy of that environment. So you'd be like looking around and sizing people up, and they'd be like, oh, I stole a Reese's Pieces. Oh, I shanked the crosswalk guard. You're like, I started an insurrection at my school and jumped the line. So now you're king cool there, and then they're on your side
And
again.
Okay, like, why?
Right. So now your tank is warm with the other tank.
Why are you treating this like prison mentality? Like, I'm just like, this is where I'm at. This is where I'm always going to be.
Not, you can call it prison mentality. It's human nature. It's literally human nature.
No,
I got to be at the top of the hierarchy.
Not at all, dude. I went to jail. It was not like that at all. It was more, keep to yourself, be quiet, and they'll leave you alone.
But that wasn't
In a
that
way,
like just like
to get
overnight? Or
it was a couple hours. Like, I made, luckily, the last bail call. Like, if I had not had bail called then, I would have been there overnight. But at the end of the day, like, my mindset was like, even if I had to be there for like a couple days, it would have been, keep your head down. Don't talk to these people. Just keep your head down. Mind your own business.
I think you could have took most of them, dude. You could have.
I don't think I could have, because they were like 25-year-old men and stuff like that.
We've been to this conversation. You could tap people out, double to triple your age.
I don't think you understand. Prison doesn't have rules, or jail doesn't have rules.
Appoint someone as a ref. Look, you had nothing to lose at that point. You might as well go for the gold.
No, not at all. Like, you're never going to convince me of this. Stop gaslighting me.
No, but
I'm not gaslighting you. You're gaslighting me, saying I'm gaslighting you.
But think, like, the times you did succeed in tapping out people triple your age, you were just like, all right, I'll give it a shot. And then, like, you're in prison, you're like, survival's instincts kicked in. You might accidentally snap a neck.
Oh yeah, become a lifer.
You could have tapped into another level of your being.
I can't. Like, y'all.
Yeah,
y'all are gaslighting me so hard.
That is not gaslighting. We are hyping our boy up. You were like operating at like a Kaioken with these guys. You would have gone SSJ 1, 2, maybe even 3. We might have seen some spark.
No.
Your calf muscle alone could probably knock out. It could probably knock out a baby elephant if you felt like it.
I'm not.
You felt like it.
I'm not ever gonna.
On a good day.
That's not ever gonna happen though. Like, I'm like, Jesus, I'm so glad none of y'all got sent to jail with me, because y'all would have been problems.
No, here's the thing, dude. This will happen. Glen Rose, Texas, there's a safari drive. We could find an exotic animal for you to fight.
I'm not fighting it.
ostrich.
I feel y'all.
That's a formidable opponent.
It like
Y'all
it
un-
would like,
two or three
it would,
levels
like
up.
peck at you and you can.
No, I don't think you understand how
Those
ostriches
things
hunt.
can kick.
They have talons.
Oh,
They have little knives
Yeah.
on their feet.
Okay,
Like,
so
you have
we'll,
one in
we'll
your
get
hand.
it.
No, okay, no. Let's spiral this stupid argument that y'all have. Realistically, what animals do you think you could take in a fight?
Okay, here's the thing. I
Oh.
when you said ostrich Q, I was like, that's up the Mortal Kombat tower. We need to start smaller. An ostrich is pretty powerful. Okay,
Yeah,
that's like 2 or 3 matches up. All right. I think you would give a good baby giraffe or baby elephant a run for its money.
like
I
they'd
could
be
see you
above an
taking on a
ostrich.
zebra. A zebra I could take. No, babies. The real giraffe, its neck is gonna swing on you, and you better have your dodge roll down.
No, I'm saying realistically, what animal do you think you could fight? And actually come out on top? Because I will tell you,
maybe a dog.
I
don't know.
A big mouth bass.
If it's a fight to a death, dude, I don't know if you could take a dog.
It depends on the dog. Yeah, I'm not saying I could like
your little chihuahua.
I'd still run
no.
away. I would not try to take the dog. But
Yeah, because here's my thing. Everyone's like, oh yeah, I could take it. Okay, cool. You know hardened criminals get destroyed by dogs, right? There's a reason why we have canine units.
and
That's a
also
trained
hardened
dog.
criminals use dogs on
that's
other
a
hardened
trained dog.
criminals.
Hold on, that's a trained dog.
It's
He's talking untrained dog.
It is trained to
In the
bite
wild.
on command. That is
Wild
all
dog.
it is. Even then, wild dog is even going to be scarier because it's unpredictable. At least with a police dog, you know it's just like a police dog. You at least know it's biting down and it's just clamping down. That's what it's doing, and it's gonna rip a little bit, but it's not letting go. Whereas, dude, just imagine being bit over and over and over.
Yeah, fuck that.
Yeah,
I
I'm
could
telling
definitely
you.
take on a carrier pigeon or a big mouth bass.
Realistically,
Barehanded.
I don't.
A goat?
See,
I don't know.
a goat maybe.
A goat or even a
goat,
ram.
dude.
A goat's probably
a
a good
low
one.
tier, a low tiered ram, not an alpha ram, like a beta ram.
Here's
You
my
can grab them by their horns.
Here's my argument though. Rams have a lot of power. What's your killing power on this ram? That's my
killing
argument.
power?
Well, because think about it.
Killing. I mean, you can punch the hell out of it till it's.
They literally slam
Not
their
its
heads
head.
into each other. So it's
Yeah, I don't
okay,
wanna punch
what
its head.
how are you finishing this thing
I would
off?
think you would have to
Its head's
get
weak.
its.
It's the horn.
You would have to hold the horns with both your
couldn't you
hands
just,
and all your strength. Yeah, I was gonna say try to twist it or put it on the ground and just stomp the neck. That's
I don't
all
think
you can do, bro.
that's just it. I think you're
how
underestimating
else you
how
would.
powerful they are.
Oh, I'm not saying it'd be easy. I'm saying that's the only way I can think of doing.
I don't see.
know.
I don't
Yeah.
know if you could
The
take
fight
an
to the death
actual
isn't
ram. I think a ram beats you. If I'm being
Oh, no,
realistically
not ram,
honest.
a goat. We're talking about a goat, not a ram.
No,
Like
I
a-
said
He's
a
calling
low-tiered
out
ram.
ram.
I said a
He's
low
saying
tier
you
ram.
said a
Made
ram.
a
Oh, I
ram.
thought you said a goat, dude. I was
I
like,
did say it first.
Oh.
Yeah, I did say it first.
He's like the guy who's like, okay,
think I
cool.
could
I
take a
could
ram,
take a
dude.
tiger if it was on its
No.
deathbed. If it was
If it was like a
sick,
leukemia tiger.
been going through chemo for a while, you're the guy that always is like, no, but I could take the sick version of that, and it's like, okay,
Dude.
anyone could take the sick version.
could you take a liger?
Punching down.
I
No.
finally saw that.
No.
I finally saw one of those. Those are ridiculously large.
Yes.
I
They
never
weigh,
thought they were real.
they're huge, dude.
Dude, they were standing as tall or taller than
Yeah,
the two
they can
men
get,
that were
10
walking
foot.
beside it, and they're just chilling.
Nervous.
I'm like, imagine that thing back up at you, dude. No,
Done.
You
Done.
could realistically
over.
take it.
Done.
No.
You would die immediately. I would just give up and
Not
cower in
immediately.
fear.
It'd be slow and painful. They don't kill. No animal kills instantly. Really, they kind of like eat you alive. So you're gonna feel the whole thing. It's gonna be bad.
Yeah, so you
That's
don't
terrible,
spoil
yeah.
while they're eating you.
Yeah, you have
That's
to
a good
watch
point.
yourself get eat.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's terrible.
Yeah, you just pray that you go unconscious during the attack.
Yeah. I saw, dude.
Wow.
Speaking of stuff dying alive, I watched a YouTube short of this guy cutting some squid to eat, but he didn't kill the squid first. It was alive, jumping around. He slaps it down the table and slices its skin off and pulls it out of its own body, and it's still flopping around. He just starts chopping at it, and I'm like, it's kind of intense.
I mean,
I know I eat animal.
like,
I eat animal products, but
I mean, think about like lobster. You cook lobster alive.
Yeah,
I mean, really, if you've
so
seen
like,
any of the slaughterhouse videos, I mean, there's no nice way to kill an animal. But
dude, I'd say nowadays, like a slaughterhouse, most of them are pretty humane. Like it's freaky, but like, dude, compared to what it used to be, like now it's like literally you lock them in, a piston comes down, you push a button, and it just fires the nail in. Like it just fires the bolt and it's done. Like nowadays, I feel like it's better than what it is.
Right, that's the problem. Define humanely killing something, because you're still killing it for consumption. That's the whole weird.
I think you got to understand.
We're killing them nicer than we used to. Like the videos of the guy picking up the calves and beating them on the floor till they're dead, like stuff like that.
God.
I don't know,
yeah, it's pretty
man.
brutal.
I prefer not to think about it and not care, because it's like, dude, I'm gonna eat it.
Don't want to look.
It's not even that. Like I don't. There's part of me that's like, I don't care, because that animal's job is just to be my food. That is its job. It's the moral judgment for everyone else that makes me feel bad about it. Because, like, at the end of the day, I don't feel bad when someone goes into the woods and just kills an animal. Like, oh, that's not its purpose. Yeah, it's not.
So, but when they kill them in the woods, I've actually heard that meat is a lot better for you, because, like if you're speaking like industrial level farming, because like not we kill them right, but their quarters, like how they grow up, they're so close. They just grow up like in their own feces and grossness, and they have diseases, and like it's just not as good for you. That is like affects us directly. That affects our health. That bothers me. If you don't even want to get into the humaneness of it, that affects us directly.
My thing is, like, you got
hormones and all that.
You got to do what you got to do. Like the world doesn't operate without it. Like.
No, yeah, I mean.
So it's like, true, yes, I understand it, but it's also understanding like it's a necessary thing.
We could try to figure out another way. You know,
it's
a $1 billion industry, so that's not going to happen.
Right, to make it like profitable and stuff. But I think it's important to watch stuff like that and see what it is, to at least understand what you're doing. I think that's why like I'm not vegan or vegetarian, but I think it's important that I saw those videos at a young age, but still have to make the decision like, this is how I get my food, you know, whatever. Because I think, to me, that's the same as like understanding STDs and watching those disgusting videos and seeing how bad they can get. But like, understand this is what you're getting into. Do you acknowledge it? You want to remain ignorant? You know, you just understand like this is what you need to understand it at least.
Like I see, that's just what it is for me. Is I understand it. I still make the conscious choice. The only part that makes me feel bad is the moral judgment from everyone else. It's like at the end of the day,
like from who?
Oh, well, like society, you know how it is. Like how you have that moral pressure of like vegans and stuff like that out in the social world. Like personally, like that's the only
pressured, really.
That's the only moral pressure I feel on it. Other than that, I'm like, it's necessary.
I think I don't feel that. I don't feel that pressure from other people, but I haven't ran into someone who is like hardcore about that and like tried to argue with me about it or tried to shame me at all. It's just kind of like you can see it on the internet and you can start feeling guilt because that whole sphere.
Well, that's what I mean.
Of that can get out of hand.
That's what I mean. Is that sphere is the only thing I feel pressure on. Like other than that, dude, like same thing. Never had anyone in my real life really care about that. But like for me, it's a necessary evil. I'm gonna do what I have to do.
And I think also like it's fun to. It's also just fun to try that stuff too. Like going to vegan restaurants and like vegan cafes which is kind of hard to find where we're at. But when I have gotten to travel, and it's like it is interesting to try that stuff.
Yeah.
But dude, speaking of the big industrial complex, though, I did watch the guy who did Super Size Me. He did a chicken one, dude. So he he buys like a farmhouse. He gets the chickens, and the documentary is exposing the complex of it, and it's like they get you in debt to where you can never get out. So like once you're in and you have a good batch, you're ranked. Your chickens are ranked against all the other chickens that you're competing with to get the deal with Tyson, to get the deal with Great Value or whoever's going to sell that actual chicken. You get a scorecard, and it's like the people who buy it also control the scorecard and the metrics that affect it and like what you need to do it. Because if you're doing okay or average, they can make a new regulation. It's like, you need these heaters on the outside of your building. You need these types of lights in your building. That's $180,000. Have fun. It's like, well, I can't do that. It's like, well, if you don't do this, we will never buy chicken from you again, and you won't have a job. Also, you still owe us the other tens of thousands of dollars for the house and the chickens that you're loaning out. They get you in debt, keep you stuck there, and then it's a snowball either way. If you have good chickens, they're going to keep giving you healthier batches of chickens to grow them fatter. If you have bad chickens, you're going to keep getting the scraps. But neither party can get out. And then the guy that he was working with in the documentary, once they found out who he was working with, once they found out he was working with a Super Size Me guy, like he let him into the industry, all of a sudden he was at the top. All of a sudden he kept showing up last place on every scorecard.
Right.
And it was just miserable. He's like just thinking about like sacrifice he had to make. He's like, I thought he wanting to expose the industry and it costing him his livelihood as well.
I don't know.
Because they found out.
Like, it sucks, but at the end of the day, I guess I'm not that interested. I gotta say, like, it's an industry that I don't really look at all that much for exploitation or anything. Like, I assume, because, like, I look everywhere. There's exploitation anywhere and everywhere you look. Like, Amazon now with the fake, making fake social media profiles to try to disparage Amazon workers from joining a union and voting to unionize. So it's like, I just assume that every company that is somewhat big or any industry that's somewhat big has corruption in it and has some sort of way to keep people from being able to pull out of it.
I think it's interesting. It wasn't because I was like, I want to learn about the big chicken. I was like, I recognize this guy from another documentary. It's about food. I don't know, somehow that something about the food industry gets me interested. I guess because I'm into health and fitness, but and I agree with you. There's a level of corruption everywhere, but I want to know what it is, because to me, that can sharpen my emotional intelligence of like, when you hear this, know that it's actually this. When you hear A, know that it's actually B. If they're handing you the flowers in this hand, there's a knife in this hand. Like, I like learning about it and being like more kind of like, exposing yourself to stuff to know what you're getting into, but that's crazy, man. It's crazy. But yeah, the Amazon workers. There's another. It's weaponizing fake news. Weaponizing fake news. It's fake. Like it's standard to weaponize stuff like that.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just everywhere, dude. Like, everywhere you look, there's some form of corruption, and it's never gonna be fixed. It's in too deep. The thing is, like, looking at all these, I look at all these problems, and I'm just like, dude, the problem's gone on too long. This should have been fixed a long time ago. It was never fixed. Now there's nothing we can do. We're in too deep. You can't do it without causing a massive change and massive problems by doing that.
Well, it's always like, even like every time there is some massive change, eventually over time, like, power and corruption returns, because it's just like, I guess it's part of human nature. Maybe not. I don't know, maybe it's different in everyone, but like, dude, people just start to hold on to power and don't want to let go eventually. Like, once you're at that top, I don't know, because it happens throughout all human history and like all different cultures.
To me, it's just capitalism run amok. Like, there needs to be a checks and balance system. Like, as best as you can. I don't think it's even just
capitalism, man.
Well, like when I say
human
that,
hierarchy in general.
See, I equate it to more capitalist mindset. like, because capitalist mindset is we only care about profit. At the end of the day, I guess it comes from a different moral standpoint as far as like at its root. Y'all look at it as humanity is evil and their whole job, and there's always people looking to exploit other people as a whole. To me, I look at it and I'm like, I believe humanity in it as a whole is good. Regardless, I believe some may be misguided, but I look at it as good, and that if we do the right things, eventually stuff will be changed for the better.
The thing is with those people in power, like let's just the guy running Big Chicken, he wouldn't do an interview with them. He wouldn't attend it. Like they opened a chicken restaurant throughout the documentary. He wouldn't show up because he's in power now. He's in on the thing. He's making massive, massive profits that he probably never thought he was going to make growing up. He is rich probably beyond what he ever thought he'd be, and he can't give that up. And he doesn't care enough to change because if he knows if he speaks out and he's like, what we're doing is not right here, everyone around him is going to blackball him, and he will go back to the bottom of his life, and he will never have a chance to do that, and he can't give that up. That's the conflict that he's probably going through, if he even feels that conflict anymore. If he hasn't just drowned it out like everyone's below me and is a pawn to be sucked, money out of. If he still has that internal battle of like, if I speak out, I'm gone. What am I going to do for the rest of my life? So he's like, I have to just give in to the corruption. That's the hard human nature part of it. And that's what it is.
I don't know. I guess I agree to a point. It's just a known thing. Like people just exploit sometimes. Like, my thing is to fix all those industries that are like that. Like you need radical change, which makes the little man suffer, and no one will ever let the little man suffer. Like no one will let them suffer in that way.
Well, and I don't. And the thing is too is like I don't think it's a capitalism thing. I think when you talk to small business owners, they want to do the right thing. They have great policies for their employees, and small business can still be like 300 people employed. They want to do the right thing. They want better things for their people. They want less government involved though, because it makes so much red tape to get more people on, and it holds them down, and it forces them to do certain things that they're like, I wish this wasn't this way, because it almost feels like they have an outside pressure holding them down to keep them small and keep them working in coherent, ways to get these things done, and people are like, well, you're outsourcing labor, and that's wrong. It's like, do you understand what the government's doing to me if I want to hire an American here? It is so much red tape. There's so much tax, and it's like, I want to hire you people. I want to grow. You know what I mean? So it's like, I don't know if it's people running everything. You know what I mean? Like you can say capitalism, people do that. You can say socialism, that's people. You can say government, that's people.
Well, my argument is like I don't hate capitalism as a whole. I hate if you look at capitalism and think capitalism should run amok. Like unchecked capitalism is horrible. There has to be social ties, or else it's just not for a good thing. So like for me, I think it's a decent balance of both. Because like you talk about the fact that it's like, they need less government. Like, let's just talk about the fact, like, even on the Tyson subject, that Tyson literally will not fix unsafe machines and stuff and make their workplace safe because it's just cheaper to pay the fines. So they've put a price on their employees and have decided what they're willing to pay. And they will keep, every 6 months, they'll fail that same part every time. Or it'll be, hey, you can only come into our plant because, like, it's also another thing with the chicken plant of, like, hey, an OSHA inspector wants to look through. Cool. The OSHA inspector can only walk through with a bag on their head.
Well, and that's the thing.
Which is a legit thing.
And no, here's the thing. And I'm not arguing for no regulation because, imagine plumbing. We would all be dead if there was no regulation with, how pipes had to be, and then even the clean water system. I get that. We'd all be dead. I get it. There's some level of regulation, but it's finding the right balance, and then finding where it's not just checking a box to make this other guy profit, who is again viewing people as vessels to just extract money from and to be stepped on.
I mean,
it comes back to the corruption again.
It's complicated is what I'll say at most. It's very, very
Oh, yeah.
complicated. And no matter which side you're on, because I know you're very much like the business needs freedom, that's going to create a good business. But me, on the other hand, I'm like, no, here's what happens when you do that. Here's all the negatives that arise. We should do this. And you can look at that and be like, here's all the negatives that come from that. So it's like one of those things that it's like, I don't think anything anyone's suggesting that are all down the normal talking points are going to fix any of these issues, or it would have already been done. So it's like, why are we not looking to create a new idea on how to fix it?
Yeah, I just look from the perspective, pretty much everyone's wrong on everything. And also we have such short memories. It's like you wake up every day with the 24-hour news cycle. Like, dude, even preparing for the podcast, I'm like, what's hot today that I could maybe talk about with the guys in a week? Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And then it's gone the next day. It's like if you think about, so this will get uploaded tomorrow, right? And we started off with Lil Nas X. Literally, that's already been like blasted.
Mm-hmm. Well, now
which I'm still going to talk about it because
there's the new James Charles allegations.
Right, and that'll be gone by.
Probably
you should be good that you don't know who it is.
I don't know, dude. It's just, I know what you mean. Like, news just comes too fast now that by the time we've looked at the issue, it moves a week later and we're on to the next thing and we never fixed that issue before. Or like, it's everyone's moral justification is now identifying the problem, not fixing it. They get to pat themselves on the back because they noticed the issue.
And yelling at other people for not fixing it too. Why are you silence is violence. Yelling at other people that they're not doing anything when you're not doing anything either. Like, that's really what it is. And then it's gone. And then it's like, and then what's the next thing? I can virtue signal at other people that they should be doing. Okay. But yeah, and then sometimes you kind of feel like, why is it like this? Because it's like, are they you're just keeping people distracted every 24 hours? Keep looking at this, keep looking at this, keep looking at this. And like how short things are getting. Like, dude, it's not uncommon that a lot of songs are like 2 minutes now. Like, there's albums where like a song is like 1 minute and 48 seconds. Like half of the album is like 2 minutes a pop. That sounds really insignificant, but when you really think about it, like Schwinn, like songs are 3 to 4 minutes. A long song is like 5 or plus, but like a short song that's too short is like 1.5 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, I was gonna say there's even some Avenged Sevenfold songs that were probably like 7 to 10 minutes. Mm-hmm. So,
which I think there's some excess in that, but yeah, like there's a lot of music now. It's like it's 1.5 minutes, 2 minutes.
Well, I mean, it's just our attention spans are so short now too, because like even on the news thing, like you were saying, like they're always distracting us. Yeah, let's have a news company come out and stay focused on an issue. It will die because people do not care about the issue anymore. So it's like, okay, what do we propose to fix that?
Dude, I mean,
we propose a great awakening.
I mean, people just want like it's just like rapid, instant gratification, whether it's watching bad news stories on, CNN or Fox, like, older generations, or like kind of like the mid-tier age of people on YouTube. And then YouTube even has its YouTube Shorts beta, which is based off TikTok, which is more the younger generations. But all of it, whether it's good, bad, whatever, is very, very quick. I mean, mainstream news is like the slowest, but they still fit in like what, 5 to 8 stories in like 30 minutes. I mean, that goes pretty fast.
I mean,
TikTok's like 60 seconds.
They get somebody on for a debate, which is 3 minutes of people yelling over each other, and they're like, all right. And then
what was that?
Y'all say that, but like I feel like I'm kind of a counter argument to that. I enjoy long form media. Like I will listen to a 3-4 hour debate on one subject where they're going point by point against each other. I'll listen to 3 or 4 hour podcasts. So like my thing is, I don't know if it's too late. I feel like it's gonna cycle back, because like as everyone says with a lot of things, it's a pendulum. So right now it's swinging very, very short term, but eventually people are gonna realize like the short term doesn't really give me the information I need, and that pendulum will swing back again.
And no, I agree. I mean, I enjoy certain long form content, but it's when people kind of wake up to the idea that it's like, it's just overfeeding your dopamine receptors, like that next TikTok, that next even YouTube short. It's like, yeah, it's just endless. And like, even if you're watching a YouTube video, you're reading the comments actually. So you're not listening to the video, you're reading the comments, and then you see another recommended. Like, well, that's cool. I think I get the point here. Click. And then people like, it's just how quick can I get it? And like, even in like, you know, I like talking about self-improvement stuff, but like if you look down that rabbit hole on YouTube, a lot of the videos are bullet point videos, like the 3 things you need to do. And there's always someone in the comments like, here's the 3 things. And then everybody likes it and they just go to the next video. And they think
you don't have to watch it.
They think that's the, okay, I got what I need next. And it's like, dude, you actually didn't take it in, and you actually are going to forget that in 30 minutes. And it's just an overload of that. And like, nothing in life is going to be that quick. Like, you don't have a career that's short. You don't have a job that's short. Like, you have to like focus and do something for a bit. Like, Jesus.
Well, like, even then, like, I just feel like maybe it's because I've trained my way to be that way. Is that like, yes, I like certain, like, I like scrolling through Reddit and hitting a couple, you know, short dopamine boosts. But
I do it all the time.
I also really, really enjoy the long thing. Like I was telling you about the fact that I'm really into watching GTA RP right now. And how you're like, I don't know, it just sounds like it's so boring. Like, there's no way they've got action going all the time. And I told you, it's like, you watch for the slow burn of it working into something, and then it comes out to be something great.
I think long form content has its place in the things that we're passionate about. I watched just earlier, I've been rewatching Battle of the Barracks here and there lately. It's been coming up in my feed. But dude, one of the games of Skate was 17 minutes long. And I'm like, that's a long video. But then in my head, I'm like, I used to watch that all the time, because remember, the Barracks website didn't have a timer. It just played. And it would just, and it was easy for me to watch because that's something I'm interested in. And, you know, there's multiple 45-minute videos I've watched before. And then, like, you know, some people have certain movies that they'll watch their 3 hours, like Lord of the Rings or whatever. So in what we're interested in, I think there's long form content is there, but there's so much of it. And then even then, think about, dude, if you watch a movie, if you ask one of your friends or even your girlfriend or boyfriend, like, hey, watch a movie with me, you look over, they're on their phone listening to the movie, and you're just like, what is going on here?
I mean,
multitasking.
Point that's right up here. Y'all won't watch Black Hawk Down, even though I love it.
Oh my God!
Y'all won't dedicate the time to it.
I'm literally getting a T-shirt saying I still haven't seen it, but yeah, like.
But that's what I'm saying. To that point, it's the same thing of like, you're not interested in it, so it's hard for you to want to set aside the time for it.
Yeah, there's that, and I think I just worry too is just it's so much overload from every direction. Is anything going to get people interested in that? Like, I don't know, and that the worry is because like let's say some of these people want to go back to school, they do want to take a college course, they want to buy some online course. Dude, how do they sit through it? They're going to be skipping through the videos, thinking they got certified. They're going to be skipping through everything, thinking they're learning stuff. And it's like, dude, no. Like, the goal is not to get to the end of the video. The goal is to take it in. Like, if you're watching an online course, you know, specifically, like, if that was the case, you would just, I don't know, you would just scroll to the end of songs.
Okay.
I don't know.
Now, here's my side argument to that, though. If I'm watching, like, because I've done stuff on my computer and I'm watching a tutorial on YouTube, I will skip through because I will understand what they're saying. So it's like, okay, I understand this. I can move on to the next point. Here's the section I'm stuck at. Like, at the same time, I can also click through, and I don't need to watch the whole thing. I just need to click to a certain spot that I'm not understanding and then listen to that explanation of it.
But that's as a utility. That's as a utility. That's like if I had I had to change out the thing that flushes the toilet. You can tell I'm a handyman. But I knew like 90% of it, but then I opened the book to see the last part I didn't know. Mm-hmm. That's just using it as a utility. I don't need to read the entire manual. I'm like, okay, I
really take it in.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can't even read a manual. about skipping.
No, dude,
Yeah.
I've tried to read the manual on my car because like I have the manual to my car because I was having to change the headlights on it.
Why?
It was like a year ago. I had to change. So like I have the manual. I've read through it briefly to kind of understand the basic points because it's got the information in there for certain things that I've needed. Like when I was changing the tire on my car when I had 2 flats, like I needed to know the anchor points on my vehicle in which I was able to jack it up without hurting the vehicle. So it's like, okay, briefly looked through it, found the information I needed. All right, this is what I was looking for. When it came to the headlights, though, it does not explain anything. I read the whole headlight section and the light section. It explained nothing. And I was like, all right, cool. Y'all clearly don't want me to do this. You want me to take it to a dealership and do it. So I'm like, there's people out there. I'm pretty sure it was some dude in Chicago who works at a shop that's like, here's how you do it. And he's like, just pulls the whole front end of the vehicle off and then just goes in. He's like, you'll unscrew this one. You'll unscrew this one. Now you can pull it out.
I think also there's also something to that is that I am definitely a visual learner. Yeah, I'm definitely a visual learner because some people can. No, I don't think
I think it's
no, I don't know. I think it depends on the subject because there's things I've read and been able to do immediately. So
well, it's like anything.
There's certain things.
It's like if we've all worked manual labor to a degree. I was in manufacturing for sheet metal. You can't just read a book on how to do that. You just got to do it and kind of get a feel for it and learn from the people who have done it. Same thing with you when you were working at the other HVAC place installing stuff. Like, that was not stuff you could read a book on and just do. That was something you needed the visual to so that you knew you were doing it right. Because you can read the book, but it's like the same thing with like cooking and stuff. Like even if you go line by line in the recipe, there's also like, well, make sure this is whipped to this degree. And it's like, well, I'm not an experienced chef. I don't know what that means. I don't know what you're looking for. So let me look up a video. Like there's certain things where it's like that just can't be learned that way. Like you have to do it to understand it.
It depends on the subject and the person. Because I can read how to cook something and then do it. But with certain things, I have to be involved. Like involving yourself is the best way to learn. Of course, I agree. Mm-hmm. Once you do it, you're like, okay, cool, it makes sense to me. But like, it depends on the subject. Like if I read a book on how to do a skateboard trick, you know what I mean, versus watching someone do it a few times, like, okay, this makes sense to me now. Mm-hmm. It just depends on the subject and the person, and where they're at. Mm-hmm. Oh, like with music, I'm like. It helps me so much to watch someone because I'm like, oh, dude, how is it? But then, I'm like, I get the note is this, but I'm like, the way you play it and the way you do the stuff around it and you give it that character to it, I'm like, I have to see you do that because it don't sound the same when I do it. So what am I missing here? Oh, I just suck. All right, cool.
There's definitely people that just like read it. Like they can just read it and know exactly where their fingers go or on the keyboard or whatever.
Well, it's like, to what degree do they give it the expression to with when it comes to music? Because like I can play, there's a difference between, I don't know, it'd be really a demonstration, but you can play something and it sounds robotic. You can play something and it sounds like it has character. You know what I mean? Like you can, you can do that with skate tricks. Yeah, I can do it with skate tricks too when I do like a super lazy shove it and land it with one foot versus doing a pop shove it. Yeah, exactly. So it's like it gives it the different characters to it, and I think that's cool too. In any type of delivery. But yeah, definitely depends.
Just like a chef putting that little pizzazz on their plate at the end that doesn't add to the flavor at all.
how do you whip these eggs? How do you do that? Yeah, exactly. I get the idea is too, but for sure.
Yeah. So, bros, what have you been doing this week?
Dude, I had a conversation with a lady who wanted to get me involved in on a pyramid scheme. Why? Why not? So she's like, hey, let's set up a time for a call, all this stuff. And And here's how I did it, because I don't know if y'all remember when I talked about LinkedIn with all that. It's like there's people in my inbox. They're telling me stupid. I finally was like, replied back and I said, let's talk. Let's just see where this goes, right? And she's like super excited to talk to you, blah, 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 blah. Of course, it's fine. We set up a little meeting, and she's like, it's an interview. And I'm like, right. And it is not an interview. It was an hour-long sales pitch. Like, what interview do you sit there with your hands folded? I mean, it was on Zoom, but where do you sit there and then they pitch you the company, what you do, and how to do it, and how some people might feel about it, and like the background of the company of like it, but it's pitching. It's not like, hey, here's what you're like. Obviously, you need to know what you're doing on the job. I get that, but just a different like. It was a pitch. It was not an interview. There was not like a, tell me about your background. Tell what skills do you. It was all like, here's why you need this. Here's why. We have people who make a lot of money, right?
Well, I mean, it's just
your average client. Your average client is going to pull you in. If you just do this, this, and this, you're going to pull in, $5K a month off that one account. Now, if you get good, you're going to be pulling in $10K off this other account. Now, if you have this other agent, then they brought out the tiers. They're tiers. I'm like, okay, This is not a tier for a payout. This is a tier of your service level. I'm like, this is screaming pyramid to me. This is ridiculous, right? So it's like, well, once you hit this tier of your, the people you've brought in, oh my God, then you're making 30%. And we have multiple people. We make millionaires all the time. I know this other person is a millionaire. Blah, blah, blah. This person's on their way to become a millionaire. Everybody's a millionaire, right? They come out left and right. Okay. And then it's like, this is like the nail in the coffin. I'm at this point, I'm like, it's a pyramid scheme. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about this, right? And it's like, what questions do you have? I was like, how do I get leads? How does this work? And they're like, well, we kind of, you reach out to your local network, AKA get your friends and family involved, drain them of their money, and then get them to sign up other people. That's what that means, right? I was like, so there's no Salesforce, there's no CRM, there's nothing that brings, well, yeah, it's like all of that. I'm like, oh, I'm like smiling the whole time. I'm like, okay, oh, I just got to get my family involved. Okay, yeah, because you want to make these people understand that, they don't understand money. And, she said, you understand money. I can tell by talking to you, and you should take over their accounts. You want to plan for their retirement.
Dang.
And, I get it. She's not wrong. Most people don't know squat about money. Literally, they know nothing about money. And like, she's not wrong in that. But it's like, yeah, you take over their accounts and like, you're investing it for them and all that stuff. Hey, keep in mind, she's like, this requires no financial background. And I told her, I'm like, everything I know about money, I learned from YouTube. And she's like, you're already way ahead of the curve, though. Just talking to you. And in my head, I'm like, I don't, like, I know like 90% of things in my life I just do and figured it out. But I'm like, financial is like a weird thing. Like, I feel that way about like, you can't just medical. You can't just figure out medical. You actually need to do something to do that. You know what I mean? Like, with financial, I'm like, it's 50-50. Yes, you don't learn about it in school. You can get very educated on YouTube. I do believe that. But like, I feel like there's a missing piece. I feel like there's some laws involved, like real estate. So anyway, she's like, no financial background. Here's the tiers, all this stuff. Get your friends and family involved. I'm like, first of all, I didn't say this in the interview, but I'm like, I do not like selling to friends and family. I hate that. I'll refer them to somewhere else. Or I'll just tell them what they need, because I don't want to be, I just don't like it. Okay. Anyway, this is it's getting weird. There's no actual leads. And then she's like, okay, she goes for the close. She's like, you do have a training session, blah, 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 blah. You get trained. However, to get started on this opportunity, you will need 2 references that are not friends and family. I'm like, okay, sounds like a job. And then she's like, and then it gets weird again. She's like, you have to pay for your course materials. That's $125 up front. Are you opposed to making this investment? I'm like, okay. Again, I didn't say this. I should have recorded it and just seen how crazy I could have got, but I don't know. Well, she was in New York. She's in New York, so I don't know how that law works. I know in Texas you use one-party consent. Point is, what job is like you need to pay to start here?
Dude, so
the most you'll buy is like a uniform, maybe. I can get that. Or even some jobs they'll give you your first one, but like, hey, you got to pay for the rest. We'll get you. What job are like you got to put a couple $100 down to get started with us?
So
this is no job.
There used to be a scam back in the day with knife companies of like, hey, we're gonna hire you to be knife salesmen. So what they would end up doing is like, hey, Quentin, you got to do this, but you got to buy a set of knives yourself. Here's what you got to pay. Just buy the knives. This is so that you can demo the knives and then you sell them. That company didn't sell any knives to actual customers. They just got people to buy the knives by telling them, like, yeah, you're going to sell the knives for us.
Dude.
So the whole thing was just make you feel like you're going to be in actuality. You're not actually selling the knives. They're making money because they convinced you to buy the knives and convinced you were going to sell the knives.
Right. So I'm like, this is full blown. Like the tiers was enough. A beginner can make $10,000 a month. That was enough. I'm like, you realize it's $120K a year. Like, I don't dispute the fact there's jobs out there you can make that getting into it, but I'm like, you can't be unskilled and make that level of income. Like, I'm just like, I'm like starting to like, I'm like, okay, you think I'm stupid or something. Or maybe you think you're like, hey, I know you're not stupid, but like, hey, bro, if you're down with this, like, I don't know. You know what I mean? Either way.
I mean, it's just a weird dynamic too. Like when it comes to something like that and you can feel that it's off, it's because you can feel the sales dynamic is flipped. Because like when you go in an interview, your job is to sell the company why they want you. When it's the other way around of like, this is why we want you to do this. It's like, something's not right here because this wouldn't be an interview if you were actually seeing if I was a right fit for the job. Like then we know it's an actual interview.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, there was no like, why should you be here? It was all, you need to join. You need to join. You need to get people in. You're going to start making 6 figures right off, like quick if you're good. We make millionaires here. And I'm just, again, I'm like, if it was a startup, I get that. Startup companies are like, hey, we need you to work for it. They're trying to sell you to get in on the ground floor. I get that. That was not this level because she told us how big they were. She's like, we did stuff with some of the airline companies. We have been classified by the government as too big to fail. She's like, so I don't know if you remember the bailouts. We would be part of that. We're too big to fail. And I'm like, okay, like what are we doing here? So, anyway.
Like, my weird thing is I don't understand how MLMs and stuff like that skirt the law on that. Like, you ever think about that? Because it's so clearly a pyramid scheme. How are they skirting the law around it being a pyramid scheme? It's always kind of what I wonder.
Well, because there's a lot of like, go ahead.
Well, I mean, I'm not sure if I'm right. I was just saying, like, and if you actually like pay whatever it is to start up, don't they give you supplies? So they didn't lie technically. It's kind of like isn't Mary Kay kind of like a gray area pyramid scheme? Like, so you get like rank up and sell makeup, but you get other girls to do it or sellers.
They typically, the difference is though with that is you actually have a real product to sell. Like, you know what I mean? Like, people will buy Mary Kay because it's makeup products. It's an actual product to sell. It's just always weird that, like, maybe that's how they get around it. They have a product to actually sell, but the real spot they make their money is like, no, you have to buy this to get started.
To start, yeah.
Maybe that's how they get around it.
So I'm like, okay, I'm like, this is full blown pyramid. Okay, I've never heard of it before, but I'm like, it's funny. I got to sit in on a pyramid scheme trying to get me in. And actually, when I think about it, I forgot I've done this before. I remember I had a guy try to get me in on a website. Man, this is whatever. It was fun. Shot the guy down, man. He felt defeated. But I was like, this is full pyramid scheme, and I'm like, I've never heard of this company. Now, here's how I rationalize that. I'm like, it's in financial services. I don't do anything with financial services. I don't know anything about them. I'm like, fair enough. And also, I'm coming to learn a lot of high income companies and jobs that pay a lot are actually the ones you haven't heard of, not the ones on TV. So I was like, okay, that's how I rationalize that. I'm like, fair enough, because I know people making lots of money, and I'm like, what do you do? Like, oh, well, I'm the middleman for playground equipment, basically. I'm like, what?
Oh yeah, no, dude, I met a guy like that who, like, his literal job, I had never known it was a job before, but I'm like, I guess that makes sense that would be a job. His job was literally to, like, argue the taxes for real estate, like commercial real estate. So, like, his job was to literally go in and negotiate. That was his job of, like, no, that's too much. It's not worth buying. Instead, if you could do this, like, he's just a negotiator. And he's like, yeah, dude, he's like, I don't work at all. He's like, I work maybe 3 months total out of the year. He's like, as far as, like, I work year round, but he's like, if you were to boil down the amount of work I actually do, he's like, maybe 3 months. He's like, I don't think I'll ever retire. He's like, I do it. I have a bunch of buddies who started businesses doing it. He's like, for me, it's just me doing it. And he's like, because I asked him, because he's an older dude, I was like, well, are you ever going to retire? He's like, no, I'll just drop my small clients and I'll just keep my big ones for play money. And I'm like, that's just stupid to me that you're making that good of money working only 3 months of the year doing a middleman job like that of, like, I just negotiate deals. That's what I do.
Specifically about taxes, nothing else.
Yeah.
And part of that is because that there is some industries like that, and, like, we're told to believe, like, you can't. And this is how the pyramid schemes get you in, right? This is, like, the belief, like, the core belief they have to change in you, or the belief that core beliefs they play to. So I'm like, I'm not doing this. Like, I'm like not doing this whole social experiment, because I was like, maybe, okay, if they were going to give me leads, I was going to get in and see, I want to get on the inside. I want to go to one of their conferences. I want to do something. But the fact that I was going to have to get friends and family in, I was like, I'm not doing it. Y'all are going to fire me. Okay. Or just take more money from me. Right. Whatever, not that I was going to leave my job to do this. I was like, this would be a funny social experiment for the podcast, or maybe for my YouTube channel. I don't know. So it's World Financial Group. Okay. So this is who the parent company was. And I'm like, okay, time to do research. Because, again, the claim she made, here's what we're making. We're making millionaires, right? I'm not stupid. I can look at, if your company's legit, I can look them up. So they do show up. Search World Financial Group on YouTube, all the top results. Is it a scam? Is it a scam? Infiltrating a pyramid scheme, WFG. Why I'm banned from WFG. I'm like, I was right. I knew I was right. But it's hilarious, dude. And, like, one of the guys, like, it's just funny how they get people in, dude. It's like, well, you just sign up 100 people, you'll be a millionaire. And, like, once you get to 100 people, your life will change.
I mean,
100 people.
My thing is, dude, I've had people try to sell me on pyramid schemes. Like, what's funny to me is, like, there are some people that are in my life that buy into pyramid schemes, and it makes me laugh. Because I have one dude who offhand kind of knew him, tried to sell me, I think it was cards with gold on them. And the idea was this would replace the dollar. And I'm like, in what right mind do you think that your card with a little bit of gold on it is going to eliminate the dollar system? Like, for that to even remotely be a thing, you have to hope that the dollar collapses and that your company can somehow manage to survive to make money off of this. And most companies aren't in the business of planning for something like that. They're more just trying to make money off the dollar, not off of gold. Oh, it's so annoying.
Dude.
Because, like, dude, he got in an argument with someone who actually does, like, financial investments. Dude, she ripped him a new one on it. It was great. Like, she beat him
like,
so bad, he was like, no. You got to wait till my buddy gets here. He's the one who got me in on it. And I'm like, oh, my God, here we go. We're going to get everyone from this company. Oh.
That's the problem is that, you know, these people buying into it, they're just buying into a...
Yeah,
they think it's their way out.
They got scammed.
Yeah.
That's what it is. They get scammed
they
thinking that it's like you said, their route out. They get scammed and they don't understand it's a scam. So when they sell to other people, they don't think it's a scam that they're selling.
Yeah, that's kind of how they justify it because they're like, man, that guy at the conference told me 100 people would change my life and I need my life changed and this is the easy way out. And it's like this. It's like, okay, like, I don't know. Maybe there should be a course in school about pyramid schemes or something, or maybe you should get interviewed by one just to know what it is. This is a scam and jobs don't take money up front from you to start. But, you know, playing to their insecurities of everything that's miserable about them and being like, recruiting your friends and family and burning all of them is the way out. And like, it's like they're so wrapped up in their head of like, I guess this is my way out. Like they're so desperate for a way out.
Well, I mean,
I wonder if anyone's actually succeeded in it.
Oh,
like one per one.
Yeah, the person who started it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, if you're at the top of the pyramid, it's great. Like you actually did have your life change because you were at the top of the pyramid.
Just gotta get in early.
You're gonna get a cut. Yeah, well, you're gonna get it. Oh, there you go. You're like, well, if I'm in early, I'm one of the founders. You know, but yeah, like the guy at the top is taking a percentage of everything everybody's doing. So yeah, he's living fine. Yeah,
he started a scam and got away with it. I mean, the argument too is like, dude, there's always scummy sales tactics when it comes to everything like that. Like me and you are kind of the same way on this, Devin, is that like there are people in our industry who sell a particular way that we don't agree with.
I think also like what I hate the generalization and the image of the salesperson, to be completely honest. I hate the image of it, you know, of like, oh, you're just here to screw me over, right? And then like people take on that core belief too. They're like, well, if I work at a job that's sales, I'm not helping people or whatever. Like, it's like, I hate that image, dude, because there's everything, dude. There's contractors that will scam people that don't finish the job, that run with your money. But it's like, no, that's not all contractors. You know what I mean? Like, that's everywhere. But, you know, you can't argue with people's perceptions. So you have to walk them through changing their core beliefs. If you go straight at the head of like, you're wrong, you're attacking their identity, because people identify with their opinions, and they're looking to identify with anything that can define them. So if you attack their opinion, you're attacking who they think they are, even though their ideas, 90% of them aren't even theirs. They're not. So how can you be your own ideas? You're just a hodgepodge of everything you like to listen to, and that still offends you. But try to explain that to someone in 10 seconds.
Well, like, dude, like you were saying, to the point of like, I had a customer like either this week or last week who like walked in wanting one thing and ended up leaving with a bunch of other things. And he was like, you really sold me on stuff. I was like, I didn't sell you anything. I was like, all I did was just offer it to you. That's all I did. I was like, I didn't push you to spend it or anything like that. I just told you, hey, this is an option. This is why it would be a good idea to do that. I was like, you never gave me reasons as to why it was a bad idea. I was like, I didn't sell you anything. I just gave you my opinion on your situation. You trusted my opinion. I was like, I feel like that's where it comes down to sales. It's like a lot of people will warp that a certain way of like, this is why it would be good, and never tell the pros and cons. Whereas like, that's kind of where I separate myself. Like, I'm a salesman, but at the end of the day, I'm giving you my honest opinion. I'm going to ask you questions. You're going to give me information. I'm going to tell you, hey, this is probably the best way to do that. Here's how you come out cleanly and get what you want. But there's some people who will just convince people this is the right way to do things when it's completely not the best option for them.
But that's why, okay, and then this is why these jobs everywhere in the sales field are slowly trying to get away from the word salesman. They've been trying it harder.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, well, you're a consultant, you're an expert. You have, and I have to use these words to get people to lower their barrier to be like, because people you think sales like cool, so I lie to people. Like, if that's your core belief, you're projecting onto me is really what you're saying. You're saying your idea of a salesman is a person who lies to people. I literally never said you had to lie to people, but we lie to people. No, I literally never said that. So that's why these jobs are like, well, you're a consultant, you're a counselor. I help people with their problems. Kind of. It's like,
well, it's like
they have to do that so people will at least be open to the idea, because that thing is so warped.
I mean,
it's like you almost don't even want to tell people you're a salesman because you're like, you think I'm the scum of the earth.
Here's my side argument to that, though. It's also doublespeak. Like, presenting
it's sales in itself.
It is what it actually is. You're just using a lot of big words to make them feel that you're not that. Like, it's what it is. We are salesmen. Now, you have a negative connotation to salesman. That's your own business. Like, at the end of the day, like, they want salesmen. They don't want consultants. They may call you that and stuff like that. But if they really wanted that, they would be okay with you doing your job and clerking.
Yeah.
Like, let's keep it real. Like, yes, we are salesmen. Our job is to sell. Like, if we were really consultants, we would not have any commission based to what we do. It would be, hey, you did this, here you go, you're good. Like, it wouldn't be, hey, you didn't hit the numbers we wanted. Like, that's where I get annoyed at the company not calling it what it is.
Well, here's the thing. It's always going to come back to people. It's like you got to play to what people want and what people think. Dude, it goes to politics. Not that I want to go down that rabbit hole, but Trump's not a politician. That gets people so wet and in their feelings. Like, oh, he's not that. I want that. I want whatever it's not. Because people's perception of everything, like it's like you have to figure out what that thing is and what people's most core belief is. Again, that's really sales at the end of it. It's like, it feels like I'm talking in a circle, but Kinobody, okay? Kinobody, he's a fitness YouTuber. He has a fitness course and a program and all this stuff. He's big on YouTube. His whole shtick is breaking down what you think about fitness. He's like, it's not 6 days a week in the gym. It's not counting calories. It's not eating stuff you hate. It's 3 days a week. I eat whatever I want. I live the life. And it's like, he has to break that down, right? And that's what his whole selling point is. It's not the thing that you think it is. And he's not lying. That's what he does. That's what he sells. But he's selling that way because when you hear fitness, that's what you think. You're like, this is what is prescribed. This is a common belief. This is what it is. So he comes in, it's not that. And it just gets them all wet again. And they want that.
I don't know.
The grass is always greener.
I get what you mean. I mean, it's just using synonyms the whole time, but it's like at the end of the day, it's literally just they're gonna call it whatever sounds best to people, and that's kind of what bugs me. Is like why can't we be upfront about it? Like, I don't know. I hate the fact that we use doublespeak in our industry constantly.
Because it's human nature. You can't be upfront about stuff. With most people. Okay, so let's take that fitness program. If you got upfront about fitness, you would have very, very few customers. If you sat someone down and said, hey, the reason you're not where you at is because you have horrible eating habits, you don't manage your sleep, you can't commit to a single thing in your life, you are the reason that you look like this, and you need to change. Here's what you're going to have to eat. I know you're not going to like it. You're going to have to work out. Sorry, it's going to suck. No one is buying that. There's a small, like a 5% group that want to be told that want to just be punched in the face like that. The majority of people do not want to hear that about themselves.
I don't know. Like, my thing is, like, I don't know. I guess it comes down to my core belief of, like, honesty is the best policy. Like, regardless of whether you hate me or not,
Right.
that's the right way to handle things.
Right.
So I guess
Oh,
it
yeah.
comes down to that. I guess I'm that person, like, when I talk to you and ask you questions about stuff, don't give me a runaround answer. Give me the core issue regardless of whether it's going to hurt my feelings or not. Take my feelings out of it, because we can't solve the problem if you don't tell me what it is.
It's always making people like learning about, like, once you start learning about credit, it's always like, hey, I know this is super complicated. And then they say that, so you're like, oh, so it's not my fault that I don't know about it. Like, actually, have you taken maybe a day, maybe a week to learn about credit? No. That's probably why you don't know about it. Let's just be real about this. Is it the simplest thing? Not really, but we can debate simple and complex all day. The real reason is because, I've spent 0 time paying attention to it. That's why I don't know about it.
Oh, that's going to be a
know
section
you
I'm
do,
going to have to cut because I lost y'all for a little bit.
Oh,
We're good. We're still recording and everything.
no, because we have the recording. That's right.
We're still
But
recording, but I'll have
that's-
to cut some stuff.
Yeah.
My internet's kind of going in and out at the moment.
Yeah, I mean that's just always how it is, So, geez, Lord.
I don't know, bro. I don't like double speak. I get it to a degree. I understand that it has to be necessary because, like, your philosophy is people are stupid. You have to treat them like children. Like, that's your philosophy.
I don't think that's his philosophy.
Dude, Quentin, that is his philosophy through and through. People are stupid, and you have to treat them like children. Because if you don't,
I don't think that was the point he was trying to make just now, but yeah.
No, but that's what I'm saying. Is like
I could see it.
At his core belief of what he thinks, he does believe people are stupid. You have to treat them like they're stupid, but you can't let them know they're stupid. See, he doesn't have a counterpoint because it's true.
If you want to summarize what I said in a point blank snippet, the bigger picture, if you want to get straight to the point, sure, but if you want the bigger picture, it's like you have to play their emotions because of this. You have to say this because it's a long rabbit trail. But if you just want it summarized, it's like people are dumb. Well, okay.
Yeah.
See, I'm not wrong.
Okay. But here's the thing. There's more depth to if I'm like, people are stupid. You're like, oh, what do you mean? But if the rant I did of like, here's why you have to say that, people don't want to hear this. Here's why you have to do it. It's like, now you're also at the conclusion of like, oh, so you can't do that with people. Right.
Well, me and you have had this.
We walked along the journey together.
Me and you have had the conversation. Is like when it comes to people looking for getting promoted and stuff like that. Honestly, what they look for in a leader is, can you take a complex thing and boil it down to something simple that people will understand?
Yeah, if I can take you along with me on this journey, I can teach you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if I can walk you through it. Yeah, I constantly try to do that, especially with my videos. I'm like, what can I make a metaphor out of for this weird thing? Mm-hmm. And make it relatable, because that's what makes it stick. Like all the things in life that make it stick for me, the way I learn is the way I teach. Mm-hmm. For the most part, I don't force feed people books, because that's just, you can't do that. But
you could definitely try, though.
You could try. Reading isn't for me. That's so funny, man. But yeah, man, everybody wants straight to the point blank until they get it. They don't actually want that. That's the problem. Like, do you want what you really say you want? Is what I always think about, because it's like, do you want that? Do you want that?
I don't know. I mean, it's definitely weird. Like, I don't know. Sales is kind of a weird area. It's hard to determine what's right and what's wrong in it. It's always kind of morally gray, because it's like, at the end of the day, like, is me offering the solutions to a customer who can't overly afford those things, but convincing them like, hey, this would make your life easier, is that technically wrong? Like, it's kind of a gray area. Like, I don't know. It's always kind of going to be a gray area in sales.
You didn't.
Yeah, but the scarcity mindset's going to put you in a bad position just in life in general. Because like whatever you're like, scarcity will just it affects everything in life. But yeah, like it if you have a constant scarcity mindset and you're always, the more you project, the more it's going to hurt you. You know what I mean? And like that's another thing too, because like, and this makes me think about what you're talking about earlier. How, well, not really, but the point is, people say like I have a fear of judgment. I fear people judging me. I won't do blank because of judgment. That's just your reflection. If you stopped judging so many people, you wouldn't feel that way. The reason you think people judge you is because you judge everyone. That is 100% to the point, and it's like that. That's why.
Yeah,
that's why.
Well, I mean, if y'all want to switch gears, I got another topic for us.
What's up?
Just switch it hard. Slam that thing.
All right,
what is
bro.
It?
So the Joe Rogan lying about Spotify censoring him.
What
happened?
So
educate us.
Okay, so as it goes, you know how when he first switched over and he had podcast episodes that weren't converting over, like from a lot of right wing, like Alex Jones and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah.
So in one of his podcasts, I guess a couple of days ago or something like that, I didn't look too much into it. I just kind of watched someone break it down, and it led me down a weird rabbit hole on where I felt on it. So he literally ends up saying, because you know how they said, oh, it was a technical glitch, that's why we haven't gotten those videos over yet. Okay, the videos still haven't come over. Well, hey, I'm just going to leave them on YouTube. It'll be fine. Well, in his podcast, I guess with the guest, I don't know who the guest was, but he's like, yeah, no, Spotify told me there was some episodes they didn't want to bring over. So, like, he straight up just admitted, like, I lied. Spotify's not censoring me and stuff like that. But then it brought me down a weird rabbit hole of, like, is it really censoring him if they're just saying, hey, we don't want to bring that part of your product with us. You can keep it up on a different platform. They can still view it there. We just don't want it associated with our platform.
That is censoring.
Is it?
They're literally saying we don't want that on our thing.
So, like, here's my argument, though, as to why it's not. Like, here's my little bit of argument as to why I don't feel like it's censoring. Because they're not. Because Spotify still technically owns that. But they're saying, hey, that's fine for you to keep it up on YouTube. We just don't want it on our thing. We don't want it on our platform. We technically own that, and we decide where it goes. We're allowing you to keep it there.
Do they own it? Because that's the thing. You got to understand how famous and how wealthy Joe Rogan is. I would imagine that he knows, and his manager, I'm sure, knows, and his lawyers know he owns the master copies to everything. I'm sure it's like,
I'm sure he owns the master product, but I'm sure they probably get to decide whether it stays up or not.
But weren't they filmed before he got into their contract?
Well, here's the thing. If they owned it, if they really owned it, they could tell him, delete that off YouTube. Because you are our brand now. And we want our brand represented uniform everywhere. That's why I'm like, it's probably more the sense that he owns the master copies to everything. He can do as they want. However, he has an exclusivity deal from now moving forward until a determined amount of time. He will upload to Spotify, but he is still allowed to post clips on YouTube. I doubt he would give away his master copies.
I see, like, here's my thing, is I think of it more of like kind of a renting situation, if that makes sense. Like, hey, we rent your product. We technically own it for the time being till you're at the end of your contract. You still have a lot of control over it and everything like that, but we technically decide where it's going to be.
Like, kind of like renting, like Netflix or Hulu when they have shows for certain periods of time.
Yeah, like they own the product, but they don't really own the product. You know what I mean? They own the rights for that moment. So it's like, I don't know how I guess we'd have to look into the wording of the contract, but there's also part of me that it's like, I don't really consider that censorship because it's still allowed to be on another huge platform.
But that's censorship because they're saying that's not allowed on our platform.
Our viewers
had Joe Rogan not owned the master copies, they could also take it a step further, say, hey, we want you to private that video at least or delete it. That's why they don't. I can tell just off that they probably don't own the master copies. Otherwise, they could just make him pull his whole back catalog. Or also, was that part of the negotiation? Back catalog stays up. You're not taking that down.
Like that's
So
my thing is like
that is censoring. Otherwise, they would have stepped and said take it down everywhere.
If you look, like, I don't know. I guess for me, it's kind of a gray area on censorship because it's like YouTube's a huge platform, bigger than Spotify. There's no getting around that. YouTube is bigger.
Mm-hmm.
That part of me is it's like, hey, we don't want it on a smaller platform, on our platform. That's not the brand we're trying to build. My thing is it's on a bigger platform. So it's like, I guess at the core value, it's censorship. But to me, I'm like, I'm okay with that. Like, that's not a huge deal. Like, it's still viewable in some huge capacity.
Is this censorship? Okay, is this censorship? It's almost the exact same thing. There is the album version of My Name Is by Eminem is not the first version I heard, and it's not the real version. There's a different version that the record label did not release, right? They said, you can have that song, but you got to change this part of it. So he did. That's released. However, the other one exists out there. You can find on YouTube. It's not hard to find. It sounds, the audio quality is all the same. Production quality is all the same. But there is part of a verse that is different. I think there's actually two parts that are completely different. That's censorship. They're like, sure, we're going to release it if you change these parts. But just because someone else can take it and upload it to a computer and then upload it to the internet, that doesn't mean it's not censorship.
I don't know. I mean, I guess to me, it's kind of a gray area because it's like, hey, it's our brand. I don't know.
But that's still censorship.
I guess my argument is at that point is like, who cares if it's censorship? It's that company making that decision to a degree.
Well, then you could have that argument with people taking Alex Jones down.
Well, like, that's just it. Thing. They clearly, like, because, like, even then, they're not controlling who he has on. Like, some of those Alex Jones episodes didn't come over. They still allowed Alex Jones on their platform. So, that's where I'm like, it's kind of a weird gray area. Like, if you look at it, yes, it's technically censorship, but clearly, like, they're still trying to be as fair as they can with it. They're still allowed Alex Jones on.
Okay, but that's the thing. By definition, it's censorship. That's the part I'm not understanding. They are literally saying this can't come over here. That is censoring that part of it. By definition, it is.
I mean, I guess, but I mean, is it a censorship that y'all are upset by? I guess that comes down to my core argument of like, that doesn't bother me at all. I feel like that's okay. Like, that's the right level of censorship, I guess, is kind of how I would feel on that.
Personally, I don't think there should be any censorship on it, but does it bother me? No, I can just open YouTube or Spotify.
See, that's my argument, is like, it doesn't affect you. You can still view the product.
Yeah.
So that's the thing, though. I get it. Does it occupy my mind? No. Can I change it? Also, no. So it doesn't hurt me, but for sake of argument and opinion, it's censorship. Yeah. Alex Jones' episode with Andrew Schultz. I told y'all to watch. Y'all missed it.
I'm really disappointed.
Censored. I'm really sad. Removed it. You missed out.
I'm really surprised no one recorded that. Oh, okay. On Patreon. Okay.
I'm sure it's probably on their Patreon. Go behind a paywall. You can watch it, whatever. Or maybe it is re-uploaded somewhere else and deleted instantly after that. That's censorship. Dude, Steven Crowder. I literally, it was almost creepy, okay? He uploaded a video. I don't even subscribe to him, but it was in my feed. He had like a 2-minute long video, and it was addressing a video that got removed. And he's like, hey guys, I don't do cell phone videos. I just want to give y'all an update. We had an episode last night. We got a strike for it. He's like, we were not saying C virus wasn't real or anything. He's like, we were looking at statistics of the virus and just showing a comparison to blah, 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 blah. Dude, I kid you not. The video stopped. Hold on. Video stopped. And it said, this video is no longer available. And I refreshed my app. It said video is no longer available. And I clicked the thumbnail again. It said video no longer available. Literally, the video where he was trying to explain himself and say, hey guys, this is why the video's gone, got removed while I was watching it. That's censorship.
I don't know. My thing is, even then, like, I guess I'm not all against complete censorship to a degree. I guess that's maybe where I stand on that. If it's still accessible, like, who cares? Because, like, you bring up a point about Steven Crowder, like, dude, I can't stand him.
Oh, yeah, I don't watch him, but yeah.
Like, for me, he says a lot of inflammatory things. Like, it's just like, even if you look at, like, Tucker Carlson, they make these points that are so blatantly, like, these are our talking points without it being directly this. Like, it's
playing into human nature to get you to watch.
But my thing is, and then they whine and cry when they're called out on it. And that's the part that bothers me. Because, like, dude, he does stuff like that. Like, he's done it. Tucker Carlson does it. Things like that. It bugs me. It's like, dude, oh, well, they removed my video because I wasn't doing that. And it's like, but you were. You just were side-talking about it.
Like, yeah, it's like you kind of jumped the shark and you claimed the McDonald's up your street was trafficking children, when in fact a kid fell and scraped his knee. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, you went a little overboard there to get, we didn't watch. But I think also, like, yeah, it's just a point. The problem, there are things that should be censored, sure. I don't want porn on YouTube. I don't. Okay? It doesn't need to be there. There shouldn't be gore on YouTube. I get that. You know what I mean? But just when people just talking, you know what I mean? I just like, I get, and it is a website. It's up to the website completely. I agree with you on that point. Spotify's like, we don't want it on our platform. That's fine. Company. But by definition, it's censorship. It's censorship. YouTube says, we don't want Alex Jones on our platform. That's fine. But by definition, that's censorship. You know what I mean? It's like, well, I hit my girlfriend, but it wasn't domestic violence. Like, no, by definition, there was domestic violence.
I guess I get your point. But even then, so like,
right.
How do y'all feel about Joe lying about it then?
But what was the lie?
I don't get what the lie
he said he
is.
was not being censored by Spotify, and y'all have just argued. He clearly was.
He said he wasn't being censored?
He went for the longest, like 6 months when those episodes were not coming over because of a technical glitch. Everyone said it's Spotify censoring him. He kept saying, no, Spotify's not censoring me, not censoring me, not censoring me. Then it comes out a couple days ago. Yeah, they just didn't want those over there. And y'all just said that's censorship. So how do y'all feel about the fact that he lied about the censorship?
Was he really lying, or did he just find out? I mean,
no, he knew about it beforehand. Like in the context,
he
like
said that.
I guess it's reading into how he said it, but like he clearly knew it was not a technical glitch, and he definitely endorsed like, yeah, it was just a technical problem.
Did he know? Did he know? Because he has very, very dumb moments.
My thing,
like asking if the SpaceX thing lands with parachutes. Like, okay.
Like he has dumb moments where he doesn't reach.
I can relate.
He doesn't reach into it. But like, here's my thing. He literally confirmed and said, yeah, it's a technical issue. Then he comes out now and says, no, it wasn't a technical. He didn't say like, oh, it wasn't a technical issue. He's like, no, they just didn't want that on their platform. Okay, then why did
he find out later?
I don't think it was a find out later. I genuinely don't believe it was.
Because he has such a big following. If he, like, right when he got into the contract and he did that, he could spark a huge controversy by making his own video and being like, yeah, guys, they censored me. Boom, everyone's boycotting Spotify. All his fans, like, that would be a big deal. If he really wanted
which he literally put his platform on. So you're not,
but my
you're not
point
arguing
is,
against
I don't see
it.
him. Well, I'm saying I don't see why he would lie. He had no reason. There's nothing to gain there.
He had a blatant reason. You just established he had a blatant reason. He just moved over to Spotify. Oh, if he says something, everyone boycotts Spotify. Cool. Joe can no longer make money on Spotify and probably doesn't fulfill his end of the contract. There's motive for him lying, is what I'm saying. You're proving that there's motive for him lying.
No, there's motive for him. There would be. Yeah, he's like, I can't like rock the boat right now.
I was thinking a different.
I get
like,
that.
The side argument is like, oh, well, maybe he didn't know about it. Okay, so you're telling me Joe, who has been around a long, long time and always preaches to people, read stuff, read contracts, they screw you over so much, didn't spend hours negotiating that and actually looking through everything to make sure he did it right?
Yeah.
He at least has a manager read it and his lawyer read it for him. But yeah.
So, like, I'm saying, like, there's part of me that's like, he knew. I feel like he knew.
I mean, here's the other thing.
Do I feel like it's a big deal lie? No. I don't think it's a big deal, but, like, my point is, like, I definitely think he lied. I don't think he did it for, like, any deep, dark reason.
I just want to say, like, now I realize that I made that point, but I was thinking of it in a different way. Like, he has such a powerful base, like Alex Jones, that he wouldn't worry about losing the contract. He'd be like, I can just go on Patreon or Vimeo or back to YouTube and just like give him the middle finger and make enough money off the PR and controversy of it. Like, maybe not.
I
maybe
get what you're looking at.
He made like $100 million.
Here's my thing. Like, you say that, but it's like, it's $100 million contract. I guarantee you there are plenty of strings attached of like, if you torch our brand, you will own nothing.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, I was like, that's $100 million, probably something he doesn't want to pay back, plus the legal fees, plus what they're gonna claim as emotional damage for going to court.
Oh no,
so
emotional damage.
It wouldn't even be that.
It's a thing.
It'd be financial damages when it comes to a business. So same thing
All
with Nike
three.
suing Lil Nas X and the other guy who produced the shoe. Brand defamation. They're going to try to use data to show our brand financially suffered because of this.
So I was wondering, how do people, like, I guess just because it's like lower scale, but people like online that'll buy Nikes or Reeboks or whatever, and then they customize them and then resell them. That's okay, I guess, even though they didn't have the rights to do that. They're just low level like business owners or something. It doesn't matter.
Here's where it comes down to, like, me and Devin were talking before we started recording about how like taking it and making it your own, like how like Weird Al can clearly still steal a beat and remix a song and do a parody of it. Like, same kind of philosophy of like, if you transform it to a degree, I'd assume that there would be like, we can't go after them legally. That's why Nike's not going after them for, oh, hey, they made their own shoe using our shoe. Nike's saying they hurt us financially by doing that. They had people boycott our brand because they did not make it clear that we had nothing to do with it.
Oh, I thought it was also because they were using their brand without permission.
Okay, here's the thing. There's multiple layers to that whole thing. If you're selling, like, imagine painting these shoes and selling them on Etsy. Who's going to find you? No one.
Yeah.
Okay, like, it's not the end of the world. Buying a pair of Walmart slip-ons and painting Adventure Time on them and selling them. Who's going to come after you? Nobody.
No,
They've lost
I mean brand.
So
hold on. Let me finish this point. Hold on. Let me finish this point. You cost them nothing, right? And then here's the thing: you're not going to take over the lion's share of their market either. You're buying their shoes. No one's coming after an Etsy store, right? Lil Nas X is obviously famous. That's a huge deal. That's the problem. It's the image. Weird Al. Yeah. Okay. Weird Al actually gets permission from those people. They send him their beat, and he sends them the song to finalize it. He gets it. He's make sure he's cool with everyone, even the estates or whatever, to get that. Where would the difference be in that, and how does that tie in? If there actually was, if you were big, if you were like I don't know, Michael Jordan has his own thing. If you were, I don't know, if Avenged Sevenfold went to Nike and they're like, we're going to make a custom Nike with you and we're going to make 10,000 of them. That is clear, explicit permission from Nike. We're going to make this collaboration. Primitive Skate, dude. P-Rod made a brand. He does skateboards of DBZ. He does skateboard T-shirts of DBZ. He does like all this anime stuff now. He has explicit permission with that brand working with those artists. If he just did that, he's sued.
Well, I think it also comes down to too is like you can argue if you transport like. Because, like, I guess the argument I would make on that, like, if you go after me for, hey, they used our company's product without permission, okay, cool. Hey, it was a piece of art. Like, hey, shoes are clearly a piece of art, or else you wouldn't put designs on it. So that's why they're not going to go after them for, like, hey, you used our trademark, because you can use the argument of, like, we transformed it into something different. Like, you can take the Nike logo off of that. It doesn't matter. It's going to come down to the fact that y'all financially impacted us because you did because we got associated with that, and now we're being boycotted.
That's all it is. Right. It's because the public image, because he's so big, and people think that Nike launched the shoe.
Yeah.
It's because it's so big. Because here's the thing. Because you get into weird creative law areas, like, if I start selling T-shirts with Goku on them, but I'm like, well, it's not Goku. I paid someone to draw Goku. That company gets still be like, dude, that literally looks like our character. I don't care that you drew it with your own pencil. That is literally our character's likeness. Like, you can't do that.
Yeah, I mean,
you're not full. You're not. And even if you're like, hey, the shirt's art. It's like, no, you are making money literally off of my character's likeness. Take it down. Or, you know what I mean?
I mean, it gets into a lot of gray areas, too, because, like, then you come into patents and copyright laws and stuff like that.
Right.
And, like, when it comes to patents and stuff, if the best patent lawyers are the ones that can make it as broad as possible. Like, because, like, I forget who it was of, like, Harley or something like that. Like, they had a bad patent on a product that they made because they made them specify, like, oh, the pipe can only be this much diameter for you to claim that it is, like, it is an exact carbon copy of yours. So everyone took it, bent it, like, maybe a degree different, and was like, so it doesn't meet that requirement. So it also comes down to, too, how they have their trademarks set up.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%.
But I don't know. 100%. It gets into a weird area. I mean, I don't know. At the end of the day, it's gonna get settled out of court anyways. It's not gonna actually go all the way through.
Think Lil Nas is gonna take him for the win?
No, I don't. I think at the end of the day, it's gonna be like, hey, you know what? You did this. You're going to pay us this much and we're going to call it good and we'll leave you alone. That's 90% of like most court cases, like stuff like that, where it comes down to lawsuits and stuff, they're settled out of court 90% of the time. It's very, very rare that they actually go all the way through the system, because if they go all the way through the system, they'll be like, yep, here's the actual numbers of the damage you did. Here's how much you pay. And nobody really wins.
Well, that's the thing, though. They might be willing to do that to disassociate that hard from it. Mm-hmm. Like, because, like, it's just too much of an image right now.
Well, even then, they throw the lawsuit out there just to get the heat off them of, like, hey, we clearly don't support this. This is why we're suing this guy. The lawsuit doesn't do anything but sit in arbitration for a couple months. Everyone's moved on. They drop the suit.
The problem is, too, is, like, the shoes will still exist. It's not like he made, it's like it just made a video about Nike. He's like, no, the shoes still exist. People have them. You know what I mean? It's like, what are you going to do? Because now they just jack the price up even more of those shoes. Like that's why they're going to go hard at weird disassociating like everything with that. And that's just
I don't know.
Funny
I think that
it's going to come out.
I think that lawsuit is literally that, just to distance themselves, and that's it. Like, at the end of the day, they throw the lawsuit out there. The people who are boycotting are, like, clearly giving the signal of, like, okay, they don't endorse that. And then a couple months later, they drop the lawsuit. And they just leave it alone. No one's looking at it anymore, so nobody cares.
Boycotting it. It's so funny.
I love it.
It's not even them. not even them.
Dude, the amount of people who are just like, oh, we're gonna boycott this. Like, okay, cool, boycott. I guarantee you, there's more people who think like me who don't care, and it won't matter.
Does the shoe company tell you how to live your life?
Yep. Same thing we got into.
But
that was last week, wasn't it? That we got into the fact that, like, why do you care what a company does?
And here's the thing. Like, it's so many ways people can use it against you, because it's like they also have to tiptoe. They have to be like, okay, it's not because he's gay. It's not because he's black. It's because they are Satan's shoes, and there's a drop of blood in the heel. Dude, it's not anything else. It's not anything else but that. Because they can be like, so you don't support a black gay artist making his own shoes? They're like, no, it is because of Satan's shoes. None of the other stuff.
You know, he might have a good chance.
I mean, even then, it just brings up moral questions of, like, are you allowed to really take a stance on it? Because it comes up if you take a stance that's like, well, he shouldn't be able to make those. Cool. Well, you're in favor of censorship. So it's like, it comes into that circular argument of like, okay, cool. Here, it's the hypocrisy in it. So it's like he
can make the shoes.
No matter what well, no, the reason people were so outraged is because they were Satan shoes.
No, he can make the shoes, just not on Nike's shoe. If he had got with somebody and was like, I'm just gonna make a shoe.
Yeah, but boycott Nike didn't come from the fact that people were okay with it.
But the same people who aren't okay with it wouldn't have been okay with it if he did it under his own. Just found a third party random shoemaker.
What I'm saying is, like, he's literally doing it just for the outrage. That's it. Like, he has no other purpose to it.
Oh, right.
That's the point I'm making.
Shoes,
I'm not disputing Nike anymore or anything like that. I'm saying, like, he's literally just doing it for the outrage and to point out the hypocrisy, which is the whole reason for his video. Like, he did it to make a point and point out the hypocrisy. Like, that's what it was.
It'll never change. Yeah, it'll never change. It's always going to be something that's like, I'm going to do this to get people mad. And it'll work every time. Yep. It works every time.
All right, boys. Do we have any more topics we want to cover? All right, I'm going to take that as a no. So this has been Nobody Named Kevin podcast, episode 7. Thank you for listening. Like and subscribe.